Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Education Connections. To- Topic is Look for the Helpers. My name is Max Yin, Bellevue Schools Foundation Student Ambassador, and I'm currently a senior at Bellevue High School. At this time, I would like to introduce Mendy Carl up to the podium to share about PTA.
It's on. Yep.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm Mindy Carroll. I am president of the Bellevue PTSA Council. Bellevue has 28 local PTAs, each supporting the students and families and staff at their schools. Most of our local PTAs are deeply invested in our student health, looking for ways to support our student mental health. And it's why Council's been really excited to participate in this ongoing mental health series with the school district and with BSF. So we are all looking forward to learning more about what mental health support looks like in our schools tonight and taking that back to share with our communities.
Thank you, Mendy. Next, I would like to invite Jamie Alzia, Bellevue Schools Foundation Interim Executive Director.
Jamie Alzey, Interim Executive Director of the Bellevue Schools Foundation. I'm also a licensed mental health clinician and am so warmed for the panelists that we are bringing in today to talk about this important subject. This series is a part of our Education Connections events. You can get a flyer at the door for more conversations that are going to be happening throughout the year in partnership with Parent Map and some of our colleagues here today. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of the Bellevue Schools Foundation impact this year. Your support, individuals in the community, businesses in the community helped make a huge difference in the lives of Bellevue students. So far this fiscal year to date, we have brought in $935,000 to support vital programs in Bellevue School District with a big focus on mental health. You can see that a third of these dollars went directly to support the mental health supports within our students' schools. All of those dollars have come from folks just like you. If you are in a position to be able to support, to know that these dollars come right back into the schools and support our students. This talks a little bit about our Give Every Month Club. If you would love to set up a recurring donation to ensure that your investment can make a bigger difference and stretch throughout the year, you can go to our website to learn more. If you decide to sign up for this Give Every Month Club opportunity today, you can leave with a free bag and a book as well. Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Jamie. For those who are new to Bellevue, the mission of the Bellevue Schools Foundation is to promote and fund the best possible learning opportunities for all students in Bellevue's public schools. Now, I would like to introduce you to Jared Taylor. Jared is currently an elementary MHAT counselor. This is Jared's 29th year working for the Bellevue School District. Prior to being an MHAT counselor, Jared started in Bellevue as a school psychologist. Jared worked for about 5 years before switching to work as a behavior intervention specialist in 2018. Jared helped develop the mental health assistance team. Also, Lane Barker. Lane is currently mental health assistance team counselor at Newport High School and Tyee Middle School. She is a founding member of the mental health assistance team. Lane also coordinates the provision of suicide prevention education, signs of suicide, district-wide and serves on the Suicide Intervention and Prevention Committee. She has worked in Bellevue School District for the past 14 years as a school psychologist and MHAT counselor. We also have Melissa Odegaard. Melissa is currently the mental health assistance team counselor at Bellevue High School and Chinook Middle School. She is also a member of the District Crisis Response Team Flight Team. Melissa has worked in the Bellevue School District for 23 years and has held a variety of positions, including social worker, behavior specialist, special education coach, and elementary MPAT.
Thank you. Appreciate the introduction there. It's good to see all of you here tonight. We're going to talk briefly about kind of what mental health resources are available in district, and I'll talk about the elementary, and then these two fine ladies will talk about the secondary to start off with. So before we go on, many of you may know about the mental health assistance team framework, but just want to give you some background as to what that is, a very brief background. It started in the fall of 2018. It's really a team of highly qualified BSD staff, so social workers, psychologists, and counselors as well. And what we do is we support the Signs of Suicide lesson that Lane coordinates, and we've been doing that for quite some time. We do mental health screening, use the Behavior Intervention Monitoring and Assessment System 2, or the BIMAS, which is a large mouthful. And any students that come up on that screen as having some suicidal ideation or thoughts, we do secondary screening for those students as well. For students, for select number of students, we used to do this more. Our team has unfortunately had to contract over this last year from last year, or this year from last year. And they're still going to be seeing some kids less in the past, but they do see kids for counseling, short-term counseling. We're using evidence-based practices as well, such as cognitive behavioral therapy plus and solution-focused counseling, to name just a few. We partner with YEF and some of the other agencies, Sound and CMAR and things like that. And if students want confidential services, meaning that they don't want their parents to be involved in their process, then or if they need the higher level of supports, then we work to help facilitate connection with those services as well. The goals of MHAT are really pretty simple. We want to first identify kids that are struggling. That's why we do the universal screen. As I said, unfortunately, we've had to scale it back this year. We're hoping that in the future we can kind of scale it back up. We use the BIMAS 2 to identify those students. Second of all, once we identify the students, we want to provide them with greater access to supports. Research has shown that getting kids into counseling is a little bit challenging sometimes, and so if we can provide the services on site free of charge, it's get greater access to those services. And then lastly, we want to make sure that the supports that we're providing are of the highest quality. And so we use evidence-based practices, which means that there's research to show that they work. So those are our kind of goals. We do have kind of two separate teams, although I'm a team of one at the elementary, so I don't know if I'm a team necessarily. But we have 5 people at the secondary level, middle school and high school, and then myself. So I'll talk about elementary and what I do with the team. And unfortunately, we had 3 people last year, and we had to kind of consolidate as well. So because it's just me and 16 schools, I can't provide direct services. It's just an impossibility to do that. However, I do support students in crisis. So if they're having a mental health crisis or a behavioral mental health crisis or suicidality, anything like that, I can support the school teams with that. For those of you who are not familiar, MTSS is a multi-tiered system of support. And it's a process of how do we kind of get kids the right services based on the level of need. So we're not overserving them, we're not underserving. And so my job is to support the teams and the schools to develop teams that kind of look at student information and then provide appropriate levels of care and support to those students. Part of that process, we do use the BIMAS 2 as well at selected schools or selected grades in schools. And we generally have 3 different types of interventions that we use. Zones of regulation, which is a great emotion management and regulation curriculum. Trails to Wellness is kind of a cognitive behavioral therapy used for anxiety and depression. And then second step is it's a district adopted curriculum for elementary kids, but we go deeper into that for kids who might have executive functioning or social skills challenges as well. A lot of what I do is a lot of coaching and consultation. Schools call me up and say, hey, I've got this situation. What can we do to help this kid? And so I go in and do some observations, assessments, interviews, things like that to provide support. Another part of our job, actually, I would say is all of our job, is staff professional development. I actually love doing professional development to help staff learn to work with kids in a better way. And then lastly, stuff like this with parent nights and things like that. I will do a lot of community events through the schools, like parent conferences. Let's see, principal teas, principal coffees, family university nights, things like that as well. So that's kind of elementary MHAT in a nutshell. So I'll pass it off to Lane. You. Okay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lane Barker, and I'm here to talk a little bit about what secondary, so middle and high school mental health assistance team is offering this year. And yeah, what we do and then what we're able to offer this year as our services have changed a little bit. So these are our providers this year and our locations. In your packets later, you'll have additional information about contact information for everyone. So if you haven't received one of these packets yet, we'll get one around to you. But the cool thing, I actually asked all of us the other day, of the 5 of us, I was looking for how much experience does this combined team have? And I think we came up with that among the 5 of us. If we include Jared, the average goes up even higher. We have over 92 years of experience with the 5 of us of working in the field. So I'm very lucky to work on this team of people with just a wealth of experience in a variety of roles in the district. What we are providing as secondary MHAT counselors is providing suicide prevention education. So we support the teachers with offering suicide prevention education. This year, we're doing that mostly in chemistry classes and in 7th grade science classes. We also provide the BIMAS 2 well-being screening, which Jared referred to earlier. This year, because of our limited staffing, we're focusing more on where we can provide direct service. We're doing that in high schools. And then we have more of a consultative focus in middle school, where we're supporting in crisis situations, we're supporting with referrals, but we are currently not able to provide a lot of direct one-to-one counseling services in middle schools this year, because most of us are split between 2 or more schools. Other things we do, we provide student and family crisis support. We do a lot of consultation with other BSD providers. So we're supporting a teacher who has a concern, a coach who is concerned about a student. We're engaging in reentry process for students who are coming back to school after having a mental health crisis or attending a mental health program outside of school. We support students who are in the process of receiving additional supports like 504 services or disability services, etc. We provide quite a bit of referral support. This is a big focus for us this year as we are a little bit more limited in our time. So we're working really closely with our community partners to make sure that we do our best to connect any student who needs mental health counseling with a provider. And we have quite a few resources we can use to make sure that that happens. We also do, like I said, just a lot of connecting with our community mental health this year to make sure that we're filling any gaps that we're not able to serve ourselves. If you want to know how to access your school's mental health assistance team counselor, the best way to do so is to reach out to your school counselor first. They are your best kind of first stop to help you figure out which resource might be right for your child. And then they will reach out to us to determine if a student's the right fit for our services versus many of the other referral sources that we can connect you to. Students who are 13 and older, which Jared referred to this earlier, can access confidential services in our community. For mental health assistance team care, we do require parent consent and parent involvement in the process. But by law, students who are 13 plus can access mental health counseling in Washington State on their own. And so when that happens, we support students with finding community mental health agencies that can meet their needs. So far this year, we don't have a lot of data to share yet because we are deep in the process of conducting our suicide prevention education and then our biomass 2 well-being screenings. We've completed our work at the 4 big high schools in our district, the 4 comprehensive high schools. We do have some makeup lessons to come. We always offer makeups for students who are absent because we really do our best to make sure we reach as many students as possible with this information. So far we've screened about 1,376 students and climbing. We did some more lessons and supporting of digital discovery students just today. And then our team is really focused on supporting with reentries, so students successfully entering school who've had safety and mental health concerns, developing safety plans for students. And most of what we're able to do right now is kind of crisis work and check-ins and solution-focused counseling with students who are coming in with needs. Each of our mental health assistance team counselors at the high school has a small caseload of students that they're seeing, which is pretty variable right now. And so we are providing some individual counseling to students where possible. But where you'll see kind of larger caseload numbers in previous years, this year we're having to focus more on screening and prevention work, which is great work to be doing, but we do have limited capacity to see individuals. Melissa is going to come up and talk to you about the resource packet that you have or should pick up that provides a lot of additional resources.
Okay, so hi everyone, it's good to see everyone again. So just in case you didn't on your way out, make sure you grab this. This is really actually an amazing resource packet. And for the first time kind of summarizes and captures all the amazing resources we have in the district. So the first thing I'm just going to go through is a school staff contacts list. And this is this multi-page thing that's in your resource packet. I saw that initially and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it seems like it's so obvious. But one of the things we often find is a huge barrier for people for accessing help is knowing who to contact. And even though people can access things digitally these times and go on the websites, this is a multi-page that has all the main contacts at all the schools. So for example, you'll see on this particular slide, those are high schools. Our high schools are very big, but you have full access to all the administration and the counselors, and especially MHAT. Just want to note as well, you'll see counselors, people are still wondering, we just explained MHAT, but you're wondering maybe what's the difference between a counselor and MHAT. The counselors usually focus on more the academics, the scheduling, and college or beyond high school. And the MHAT counselor that's listed is doing mainly the screenings, the SOS lessons, and the mental health counseling as well. One thing that's really wonderful though is it is for all grade levels. So you can at any time, if you have kids in all different things, you can say, look at your particular school and say who or how is the best way and who can I contact for help in that school. It's an amazing resource. I'm excited to use it myself. The next thing we have, some of you may not be familiar with this, but this is going on several years as well. We have something called the Highland Health Center, and it's located at Highland Middle School. And it's comprehensive healthcare that's available at no cost to all Bellevue School District students. You are able to access medical services, behavioral health, and dental services for all students in the Bellevue School District. You just need to make an appointment. So it's by appointment only, but any student has access to that at any time. The next thing, this is going on our 3rd year of partnership, and we're really excited to continue to be able to partner with Care Solace. All students, staff, and their families are able to access Care Solace. And basically what it is, it's a partnership in which helps to connect you with mental health and substance use treatment in our community. You can do it different ways. You can either do it through phone or anonymously through their website. Once you make a connection with Care Solace, you'll be assigned something called a Care Companion. And a Care Companion is somebody that will kind of lead you through this process. So a Care Companion can be available at 24/7 or 365 days a year, or basically what they're going to do is they are going to find you the resources that you need. Okay, so basically they'll do it through texting, email, or a phone call, and they will do all the hard work for you. So a lot of times it's a huge barrier. People say we really need mental health support or support for our family, but we're on waiting lists or we can't access. So they'll actually you give them the information, you give them your insurance, and they will do all that work for you till they find a good match for you. And there you can use filters or other make recommendations that's best for you. The next thing is just a slide as well, just kind of summarizing what the mental health assistance team can do for you. So it's basically just kind of summarizing all the information that we've shared with you today. The next thing, this is something I'm actually really excited about. This is something new for me, but this is something called Mental Health First Aid. And this is in partnership from the National Council for Mental Wellbeing. And if you want to learn more about how you can support your youth, you can actually take a class. So if there's in-person classes, and those tend to be about 6 hours, or a blended learning where that's anywhere from about 4 to 5 hours. And you can learn a lot more information about how to support your child with mental health, or just a family member or somebody in the community as well. So I'm really excited to learn more about this resource and excited to spread the word about this being available for our community. Finally, in here as well, there's a parent resources list. And what's really wonderful about this is not only does it summarize all the community agencies that we partner with, it has lots of books and websites, and just it's like a wealth of information that we've collected over the years. So I'm really hoping that a lot of these resources are helpful and can be used throughout the community as well. But so yeah, that's your parent resource. I'm going to now welcome YES up here to talk about some of the community mental health resources in as well. And actually, Max is going to do an introduction.
Thank you, Jared, Lainey, and Melissa for the wonderful presentation. Next, I would like to invite Christy Mecklison. Christy is the Director of School-Based Services at Youth Eastside Services, overseeing partner programs with Bellevue, Issaquah, and Lake Washington school districts. Christy has worked at YES for over 30 years, having started as an intern when completing her master's in counseling at Seattle University. Christy is also a certified substance use disorder professional. She is trained in the best practices, CBT, DBT, EMDR, ACRA, and 7 challenges.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I've been chuckling to myself all week because I saw a t-shirt that said, "Be patient with me, I'm from the 90s." Now, I have a grown daughter who's from the 90s. I myself am from the 60s. However, I started my work first with schools in mental health and in partnership with a community agency in the 90s. And we learned a lot over the years, and we have really come to know how to do things in the best possible way. And when you heard Jared and Melissa and Lane talking about sort of the loss of the MHAT team or the reduction of that, you know, that is a big deal. So I don't want to start on necessarily a negative note, but I don't want to go without saying that the best practice, the ideal is really to have at least one full-time mental health professional, whether it's a district employee or it's a community partner who's doing integrated behavioral health or mental health in the schools. That is sort of the level at which you really get the richness of collaboration and the full services to our kids, which is prevention, education, early intervention, so that you don't go on to have the need for the intensive mental health services that MHAT is providing, and that I'm going to share with you some of how the community partners supplement that in the schools. So I just wanted to put that out there because we're all advocates for our kids, and I think that that's something important that we need to continue to advocate for. So these are community partners in the schools, and I'm not sure how many of you are aware. Some people out here I know are teachers, PTSA, you folks are well aware and even support some of these programs. But we have community partners. It's the idea of it takes a village to raise our children. Now that's a trite saying, but trite sayings are often trite sayings because they're so true. And so that was one of the realizations that I think we've had over the decades, is that the schools can do amazing things, that the community agencies can do amazing things. And couldn't we do even better things if we integrated together and collaborated together. And so we've been really looking to identify with our school partners and the school partners with us, where are those gaps in services? Where are we not able to provide something, whether it's at the agency? So for us, it's, well, not everybody can make it into the agency. For the schools, it's not, we can't serve everybody, and there are more needs than we can serve. And our main focus really is we want to be educating students and we want to be engaging them in learning. And so how can we get kind of supports back and forth? So in the schools, there are some following resources and things happening that I want to talk to you about. So the district has a contract with Youth Eastside Services, the agency that I work for. And they also, we have the funding of PTSA, who has also rallied and said, we want to support and fill that gap at Sammamish High School and Newport High School. So we have YES staff. They are trained master's level therapists, some of whom do have the additional training in substance use disorder or substance abuse. So the same levels and types of training primarily that the MHAT team has. Also, the International Community Health Services Partnership, YES also has a therapist there supporting the services that they're providing, and that individual happens to be providing those services when they're needed in Spanish, both individually and with groups and families. And then the 5 community partners where we provide Medicaid fee-for-service in the schools. And I'm going to describe these a little bit more, each of them to you. Okay, so the YES district funded services. We have 2 full-time staff who support the secondary schools, Jennifer Klee and Krista Mallion, and they are basically giving a day a week to the 4 big high schools, and then that other day they're splitting kind of between the choice schools. And so Krista is a substance abuse co-occurring specialist, and I might have gotten that backward. Jennifer is a substance use co-occurring specialist, sorry, and Krista is specializing in mental health. They do a lot of collaboration. As we know, those things don't always come separately with our youth. Having a mental health issue can set you up for substance problems, and that is a topic for another day, but we could spice it to say that, all of us want to be at an equilibrium, and so if we're kind of off this balanced way, we're going to try to right ourselves, and sometimes we're going to use whatever tool we have at hand if we don't have other tools. Why is that doing that every time I do that? I might have to hit it in the middle, I guess. The PTSA funded services. So those are usually 1 or 2 days a week, and the students are primarily referred by the school counselors. And I think it was Melissa maybe who mentioned that your school counselor is a good go-to person who's going to know all these different resources that I'm talking about. If you're thinking, yes, my student needs that. And parents can certainly reach out on behalf of kids. While, yes, by state law, youth 13 and over can access their own services, give consent to their own services. And then sometimes when they don't, they can get help from their families through family initiated treatment, which I don't know if somebody's going to talk about that later, but I know that there's information that folks have for you about that family initiated treatment. But we always encourage the involvement of parents. If we have kids who don't want that initially, they're usually afraid they're going to worry their parent, they're going to bring stress to their parent, there's some other kinds of issue going on. We try to work through those and get the parents and the families involved as much as we can. If we're working with youth that are 12 and under, then we're going to reach out to you, we're going to get your consent, we're going to get you involved, you're going to be part of that process ongoing. Neither of these services are costing anything to families. I'm going to skip over this because we already talked about it. You have interest in your packets, but it's a great resource that you have available for anyone in the district. See, from the 90s. Additional community partner services, again, this is in the schools. So YES and the other community partners provide additional things that are kind of like the things that Dr. Aramaki was referencing and that people are going to talk about on the panel. So for example, YES has a Latino youth empowerment leadership development group that operates primarily out of Sammamish High School and Interlake, but involves kids from Highland as well. And they do community service. I mean, it's amazing kind of how those kids are their skillfulness in speaking and leading. We have a few employees, at least 3, if not 4, at the moment, who were in Latino Heat when they were in high school, a couple of whom were the president of that group, and who have gone on to get their education and are giving back now to their community through this work. So those programs are very, very important to youth mental health. If we're seeing a young person and they're struggling with depression or anxiety, we're going to want to see where can we connect them to a positive activity? Is it sports? Is it art? You know, what could it be? And Bellevue Schools, they do an amazing job of offering so many different kinds of opportunities that could appeal to so many different kids. So kids get a sense of, I'm value, I matter, I have something to contribute, and I'm part of a community. And these things are all very important to mental health. So Medicaid fee for service in the schools. I want to talk a little bit more about this. So back in the 90s, the way that this would work is a school would be like, help, we need help. Can somebody come from YES and help us? Can somebody come from Sound or CMAR? Please come help us. And it was kind of random. You'd go in, you'd see a kid, you'd leave, they'd have a crisis later. They'd be like, who do we get hold of? We don't know. So many years back, YES and Bellevue School District and Lake Washington School District formed the school-based strategy team, which has representatives from each of these community agencies. And Currents is the current representative from Bellevue, and we have someone from Lake Washington. And so we meet monthly and we work to become very intentional about what schools need help, and do they need a particular language? Would a certain culture be best? Can we meet those needs? Sound, can you meet those needs? What about ACRS? Who's the best fit for this? And we're financing these through billing Medicaid services. So this is a service that is limited in that sense to these youth who are Medicaid eligible, have a benefit for mental health. And so that's Apple Health in kind of common parlance in Washington State. So this doesn't serve everybody, but I want you to remember it's like we're doing, we've got MHAT, we've got school counseling, we've got all of our additional kind of social supports, and then we have the PTSA support, we have the district funded support, and now we've brought another thread and another pathway in so that we have support for more students. So we're really trying to cover everyone so that we can try to reach that ideal of no student is ever left feeling like they need help and they don't know who to go to, how to get it, or the help isn't there. So that's what we're working towards. These are the things that we're bringing into the school. And Current said, I know these agencies backwards and forwards besides my own, but that is primarily from working with them over the years and learning about kind of their specialties. And there are slides in here that are going to talk about that, but I'm not going to talk to you a lot about that information because it's in your packet and you can refer to it. But what I want you to know is that all of the agencies in the schools are meeting together and are really thinking intentionally about the needs of students and who best can meet them and how can we meet them, how can we finance, how can we resource. And then we want you to get that help and support for your youth. And we also want those of you who are able to do so to continue to advocate in whatever way you can. PTSA is great about that, the Schools Foundation, of really recognizing this need and how important it is to youth education. And so together, we have really taken down stigma a lot. We have taught youth how to ask for help in healthy ways, when to know that they need help, and where to go. And that's a huge accomplishment. And I think, you have all been working on that for decades as well. So these are the 5 partners. Asian Counseling and Referral Services. Their specialty, not surprisingly, it's in their name, is focusing on Asian communities. Asia is a huge region with many, 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 many different countries. And ACRS is incredibly impressive in how many providers they contract with different languages and different cultures from throughout Asia. And so I have often, being the director of school-based services, and then we also have contracts in Lake Washington and Issaquah. So having requests for someone who speaks a particular language, and I don't have anybody on my staff. I have staff who speak Bulgarian and Russian and Spanish and Vietnamese and Chinese. I mean, a lot of different languages, but there are always some that, somebody's moved here recently and they really need something else. I can call ACRS and they're going to have someone. It's just amazing. Consejo, which focuses on the Latinx community, children, youth, and adults. So they have their focus. CMAR has physical health programming. They and Sound are large organizations and so spread across Washington State. CMAR also has residential treatment for things. So they're a huge range of services available through CMAR. And Sound is very much the same. When we get to their slides, you'll see there's a few other specialties that they have. So each of these agencies is unique, including YES, which has always focused on the community in the East Side, specifically youth from birth on through age 22 and their families. So we stay very focused on that, and we're a smaller agency doing that. And we have several specialties, as you'll see as we kind of go. So here are some of the similarities. ACRS, Consejo, CMAR, Sound, and YES. We're all providing agency-provided services for behavioral health, along with the services that we provide in the school. So we prioritize referrals that we get from the schools because we feel that's very important, because they've become aware that a youth is in need and they've seen that youth, kind of day in and day out. And if we can't serve them at school and they can't serve them, we do have a trained staff, like I said, multilingual, multicultural. We have CBT programs, DBT, group, individual, family, early childhood, kind of across the board, as do Consejo, CMAR, Sound. So we all have worked really hard to, I think, mirror and represent our entire community so we can serve them better. ACRS, Consejo, CMAR, and Sound primarily or exclusively serve clients who have Medicaid. So that has been their focus. YES has always taken, insurance. You can pay full fee. You need a sliding fee scale. You have Medicaid, kind of trying to serve the entire community. And I think this is one of the first years, one of the first years that we have struggled financially to do that. But we are very committed to continuing to serve all of those folks in our community. So here we are getting into things that I had mentioned to you are the specifics about these different agencies. An excellent series coming up from ACRS, Lunch and Learn with Parents. So draw your attention to that in your packet. And this just tells you a little bit more, but not everything about these different agencies where you can directly seek services. If you are looking for a youth who is a Bellevue School District student, these 5 agencies, we take referrals directly from the school or from you. And you will find information if you look up either in here or on the website as to how to access those services. So we are not taking kind of the referrals through Care Solace, which is a wonderful program because it's very frustrating sometimes to find services. Right now is like a really good window that there's lots of openings and more immediate openings. I think at all 5 agencies. I know YES, we can schedule intakes right away. We can assign counselors right away. This is not always true. So if you're kind of have need, this is maybe a good time to kind of act on that because sometimes it has gotten very backed up. Yeah. Okay, I think we're moving on to a general question and answer.
Yeah, we're gonna unfortunately have to skip the question part, but yes, let's give them a hand. Do you wanna?
Thank you, Christy. Moving along to our panel discussion, I would like to introduce Monica Webster, our moderator. Monica currently